To exist is not merely to breathe, to think, or to act. Existence itself is something deeper, something beyond the surface of what we perceive. Many people believe they are simply individuals moving through time, making choices, and reacting to circumstances. But if we look closer, we begin to see that existence is not a fixed state. It is a continuous unfolding, an ever-changing experience. Consider a river. A river flows, yet no single drop of water remains in the same place. It is always changing, yet we still call it a river. Our existence is the same. We wake up each morning, we go about our day, we feel emotions, we have thoughts, but we are never truly the same as we were yesterday. Still, we hold on to a sense of self, believing that we are something permanent, something solid. This is the illusion that shapes our reality. Where does this illusion come from? It arises from the mind's tendency to label and define. When we see a tree, we call it a tree. When we see the sky, we call it the sky. These words help us understand the world, but they also create the illusion of separation. In truth, the tree is not separate from the earth, the sky is not separate from the air, and we are not separate from the world around us. Existence is interconnected, flowing, and without fixed boundaries. But if this is true, then what are we? If we are not a fixed self, then who is experiencing life? This question cannot be answered with words alone. It must be experienced directly. When we become still, when we stop chasing after thoughts and distractions, we begin to sense something deeper, a presence that has always been there. It is not something outside of us, nor is it something inside. It simply is. Most people spend their lives searching for meaning, trying to define who they are. But true understanding does not come from defining. It comes from experiencing. To truly exist is to be present, to see without judgment, to listen without expectation. It is to recognize that life is not something happening to us. It is something we are continuously becoming. This is the first step on the path to mindful existence. To see beyond labels, beyond fixed ideas of self, and to open ourselves to the reality of existence as it is, fluid, interconnected, and ever unfolding. Nothing in this world remains the same. Everything around us is constantly shifting, evolving, appearing, and disappearing. Yet, we often resist this truth. We hold on to things, people, and moments, wishing they could last forever. But impermanence is not something to fear. It is the natural rhythm of existence. Think about the changing seasons. Spring brings new blossoms. Summer fills the world with warmth. Autumn lets the leaves fall, and winter covers everything in silence. Each season is beautiful, yet none remains forever. We do not expect spring to last all year. We accept its passing because we know that change is part of life. But when it comes to ourselves, our relationships, our youth, our successes, we struggle to accept the same truth. Why is this? Because we become attached. We believe that if we could just hold on to happiness, we would be safe. If we could stop time, we would be in control. But this desire to keep things as they are only leads to suffering. When we resist change, we create tension within ourselves. We try to grasp something that is already slipping through our fingers. Impermanence does not mean that life is meaningless. In fact, it is the very thing that gives life its beauty. Imagine if the sun never set, if the wind never moved, if time never flowed. Life would be frozen, lifeless, without contrast. It is because things change that we can experience joy, growth, and transformation. A flower is beautiful because it blooms and fades. A song is moving because it has an end. Moments are precious because they do not last forever. And so rather than fearing impermanence, we can learn to embrace it. When we understand that everything is temporary, we begin to live with greater awareness. We stop taking things for granted. We appreciate the people around us more deeply. We let go of the need to control. We learn to flow with life, rather than resist it. Some may wonder, if everything is impermanent, then what is the point of anything? The answer is simple. The value of life is not in its permanence, but in its presence. It is not about making things last, but about experiencing them fully while they are here. To live in harmony with existence, we must not only see impermanence, but accept it, welcome it, and move with it. In doing so, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and open our hearts to the ever-changing beauty of life. Many of us live our lives believing that if we plan carefully, work hard enough, or think ahead, we can control what happens to us. We build our lives around routines, expectations, and strategies to avoid uncertainty. But no matter how much effort we put into controlling life, it rarely goes exactly as we expect. Think about the weather. We can predict it, but we cannot stop the rain from falling. We can prepare for a storm, but we cannot prevent the wind from blowing. In the same way, we can make choices, but we cannot guarantee their outcomes. Life moves according to forces beyond our control, yet we often resist this reality. We cling to the belief that we can shape the future to match our desires. This illusion of control is what causes much of our suffering. When things do not go as planned, we feel frustration. When life takes an unexpected turn, we feel fear. But what if we could let go of this struggle? What if, instead of trying to control everything, we learn to move with life as it unfolds? Imagine you are holding a handful of sand. If you squeeze it tightly, trying to keep it in your palm, it slips through your fingers. But if you relax your hand, the sand remains in place. This is how life works. The more we try to force things to be a certain way, the more we struggle. But when we release our need for control, we find ease. Letting go of control does not mean giving up. It does not mean we stop making efforts or stop caring about what happens. It simply means we recognize the limits of our power. We do what we can, but we also accept that life will take its own course. Instead of fighting against uncertainty, we learn to flow with it. Think about the greatest moments in your life. Many of them likely happened not because you planned them perfectly, but because life surprised you in a way you never expected. Some of the most beautiful experiences come when we least anticipate them. When we stop forcing life to fit into our plans, we open ourselves to possibilities greater than we could imagine. True freedom does not come from control. It comes from trust. Trust that life will unfold as it needs to. Trust that even when things do not go as expected, there is still a path forward. When we release our grip on life, we discover a peace that no amount of control can give us. We spend much of our lives holding on to people, to possessions, to ideas, and even to versions of ourselves. We believe that if we can just keep what we love close, we will find security and happiness. But attachment is not the same as love, and holding on too tightly often leads to suffering rather than peace. Consider a flowing river. If you try to grab the water with your hands, it slips through your fingers. But if you simply let your hand rest in the current, you can feel its coolness without trying to own it. Life is the same. Everything is constantly moving. Our relationships, our achievements, even our own thoughts and emotions. When we try to make things stay the same, we create tension. But when we learn to let them move naturally, we find a deep sense of ease. Why do we become attached? Because we believe that something outside of us can complete us. We think that if we hold on to success, we will always feel accomplished. If we hold on to love, we will never feel lonely. If we hold on to youth, we will never have to face change. But everything in this world is temporary. Clinging to what is impermanent only leads to disappointment. This does not mean we should not love, care, or cherish the things and people in our lives. It simply means we should do so without trying to possess them. Love is not about control. It is about appreciation. We can enjoy what we have while it is here. And when the time comes for change, we can let go with grace. Think about the sky. The clouds pass by, sometimes dark, sometimes light. We do not try to capture them. We simply watch, knowing they will come and go. Our thoughts, our experiences, our attachments, they are like clouds. We can acknowledge them without being controlled by them. Freedom from attachment is not about rejecting life, but about engaging with it fully. When we stop clinging, we start living. We open ourselves to new experiences without fear. We embrace love without the need to own. We appreciate beauty without the sadness of its passing. True peace comes when we learn to hold everything with open hands, welcoming what comes, letting go of what leaves, and knowing that in the vast flow of existence, nothing is ever truly lost. Most of us go through life without truly seeing, hearing, or feeling what is happening around us. We wake up, follow our routines, and move from one task to another, often lost in thought. Our minds are filled with worries about the future or regrets about the past. But life is not happening in the past or the future. It is happening right now. Imagine walking through a garden. If your mind is elsewhere, you might not notice the colors of the flowers, the sound of the wind in the trees, or the scent of the earth after rain. You might be physically present, but you are not truly there. This is how most of us live, half present, half absent, moving through life without fully experiencing it. But when we live with awareness, everything changes. We begin to notice the small details that make life rich and meaningful. We taste our food instead of just eating it. We listen to others instead of just waiting for our turn to speak. We feel the warmth of the sun on our skin instead of rushing past it. Each moment, no matter how simple, becomes something to be experienced deeply. Living with awareness does not mean we must always be in a state of deep concentration. It simply means being open to what is happening right now. It is about listening to life as it unfolds, without judgment, without resistance. Why is this important? Because when we are truly present, we begin to understand ourselves and the world more clearly. We see things as they are, rather than as we imagine them to be. We become less reactive, less caught up in emotions that come and go like waves. Instead of being controlled by our thoughts, we simply observe them, allowing them to rise and fall naturally. Think about a still lake. When the surface is disturbed, it becomes cloudy and difficult to see through. But when it is calm, it reflects the world clearly. Our minds work the same way. When we are scattered, distracted, or overwhelmed by thoughts, we cannot see reality as it is. But when we cultivate awareness, our minds become clear, allowing us to respond to life with wisdom and understanding. Living with awareness is not about changing what happens in life, but about changing how we experience it. It is about being present for each breath, each step, each interaction. When we do this, even the most ordinary moments become extraordinary. Life is not something to rush through. It is something to be lived, fully and completely, in each passing moment. In a world filled with noise, movement, and endless distractions, stillness may seem like something distant, something unreachable. Our minds are always racing, thinking, planning, worrying, remembering. Even when we are physically at rest, our thoughts continue moving, pulling us in different directions. But true stillness is not about stopping the world around us. It is about finding a quiet space within ourselves, no matter what is happening outside. Imagine a deep ocean. On the surface, waves rise and fall, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce. But deep below, the water remains calm, undisturbed. Our minds are like this ocean. Thoughts, emotions, and experiences create movement on the surface. But beneath all of that, there is a place of stillness. The challenge is not to force the waves to disappear, but to learn how to rest in the deeper, quieter part of ourselves. How do we find this inner stillness? Not by fighting our thoughts, and not by trying to silence them. Instead, we simply observe. When we stop chasing after every thought and emotion, we begin to notice that they come and go on their own. We do not need to hold on to them or push them away. We can simply let them pass, like clouds drifting across the sky. This stillness is not something outside of us. It has always been here, but we lose touch with it when we become too caught up in the movement of life. The more we practice resting in this quiet space, the more naturally it comes. And when we touch this stillness, something changes. We feel lighter, more at ease. We no longer react so quickly to difficulties. We begin to see life with greater clarity. People often think that peace comes from fixing everything in their lives, solving problems, achieving goals, making everything perfect. But true peace does not come from the outside. It comes from learning how to be still within ourselves, even when life is not perfect. The world will continue to change. There will always be noise, movement, and uncertainty. But within each of us, there is a place of deep stillness, a place where we are not defined by our worries, our past, or our future, a place where we can simply be. To walk the path of mindful existence is not to escape from life, but to engage with it fully. And in this engagement, we discover something profound. Not in the noise, not in the struggle, but in the quiet, steady presence that has always been within us. The journey through life is not about reaching a final destination. It is about how we move through each moment, how we meet change, how we release what weighs us down, and how we find stillness even in the midst of movement. Mindful existence is not something to achieve. It is something to return to, again and again, with each breath, each step, each experience. Perhaps some of these ideas have resonated with you. Perhaps they have offered a new way of looking at the world, or reminded you of something you have always known deep inside. But understanding is not found in words alone. It is found in direct experience. The simplest moments in daily life can become opportunities to connect with existence more fully. Drinking tea, walking outside, feeling the warmth of the sun. When we are truly present, these ordinary moments become profound. There is no perfect way to live. There is only the path that unfolds before us, step by step. Some days we may feel clear, at ease, and deeply connected. Other days we may feel restless, uncertain, or overwhelmed. This too is part of the path. There is no need to chase after an ideal state of being. Simply noticing, simply being present, is enough. Thank you for taking this time to reflect, to listen, and to explore these ideas. I deeply appreciate the kindness and support you have shared. Whether through your thoughtful comments, your appreciation, or simply your presence here. Each connection, each moment of shared reflection is meaningful. For those who have chosen to like this video, subscribe to the channel, or offer support through super thanks, I am truly grateful. Your generosity allows these teachings to continue reaching those who may find them helpful. More than anything, I am thankful for the opportunity to share this space with you. May you continue to walk your path with openness and presence. May you find peace not in escaping life, but in living it fully. And may each moment, no matter how small, be met with awareness and a quiet sense of being.